So I had a lot of fun in Colorado talking about artificial intelligence with our colleagues from cardiology. It's really interesting to see how other specialties think of a similar problem in the context of their workflow and their patients. So broadly speaking, we discussed 3 reasons why you need AI care in cardiovascular disease. First being that it helps you ascend the data to knowledge pyramid. The second being that it deals with multimodality that's inherent in complex clinical decision making. And the third is it deals with multi-objective optimization, which is essentially when there are multiple right answers. I did have a question from the audience that was pretty interesting, and I don't think I had enough time to explain it in depth and give it its due. So I wanted to take the opportunity to do that now. So essentially, one of the audience members was wondering, well, what happens if there is a failure of an AI system and a patient gets hurt? How do we deal with this potential liability? There are 3 broad theories of liability that might apply in this scenario. I would say the first is obviously traditional medical malpractice or negligence, so duty, breach, causation, damages. The second would be products liability, and the third would be superfund, which is something akin to how we deal with certain types of toxic torts. These 3 approaches vary with respect to their significance from a legal theory framework, their economic significance, as well as their risk for how you deal with future instances of similar things happening. So just in thinking about who is the defendant, each of these is different. So in medical malpractice and negligence, obviously it's a hospital and doctors, and when the plaintiff prevails, the money comes from insurance companies, largely speaking. In products liability, the developer would actually be the defendant, so the creator of the system that uses the language model, even potentially the but the company that created the foundational model, depending on how much they knew or didn't know about the particular circumstances. And largely speaking, I'm not sure if there's insurance for that, but I think a significant hit would come from the developers and certainly from shareholder value. And then in terms of superfund, one of the ways in which this differs is that superfunds are often partially funded by taxpayers. So even if you had no hand in the fact pattern for this particular patient using this particular technology at this particular hospital by this particular provider, the taxpayer may still be potentially on the hook for a certain amount of money. I don't know that there is a correct answer as far as which one is best. There are definitely going to be trade-offs, and I think until we have the conversation about those trade-offs, we're going to be stuck with whatever the market bears, which is essentially going to default to negligence. While that has worked to some extent historically for traditional medical malpractice, I think in the era of AI, it's probably not going to result in happiness for any of the parties concerned. It's probably going to have a significant chilling effect on research development and deployment of these technologies in the healthcare space. And even at the instance level for this particular fact pattern, it probably isn't going to work out in the way in which either the defendant or the plaintiff intended it to. I would strongly advocate that a better process would be legislation and to upfront think about the potential options for how we would deal with when clinical AI goes bad, because if we let whatever happens, no one's going to be happy. I'd be really interested in continuing this conversation more. I'm actually thinking about how we might formulate some scholarly work around it, so please feel free to reach out and let me know if you have any interest in co-writing something about this at one of these platforms. Thank you so much.